Professor Sensei Thunder Fitness.
Yep.
Congrats,
that's me.
bro.
Thank you.
Double black belt.
Still getting used to it. It feels surreal, but yeah. It's happy to be here. Crazy journey for sure.
Good, Kevin. Yeah. All right. Awesome, man. Yeah. How many years have you been doing like martial arts and training?
Martial arts. Yeah, I've been doing it since I was about 17.
Okay.
17. Just stumbled upon it actually with like one of my close friends, but he's gonna laugh if he hears this. But he used to be like a bully back in high school.
A bully? Okay.
Yeah. He came in and we would always like get into it. We would always like mess around in high school. And then he's like, you know what, like you should come train at my place. You know, like we would love having you. And then I guess like that's how it started, because I have like no family members or anybody that had a background like in martial arts.
Okay.
So I guess
you're Armenian, so it's like in your blood. Huh?
Yeah,
Kinda.
yeah, basically like the wrestling, the aggressiveness, and all that. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
fighting.
Sure.
Yeah.
And just going, I went to his practice place, and it was really cool. Bunch of like.
What was the name of the place?
It was called Kenums.
Kenum, yeah.
Kenums,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you told
in
me.
San Fernando, and it was really convenient because it was next to my workplace too, so I was able to walk after. And I just started training, and I fell in love with it, honestly, and I stuck with it until now. I mean, just the whole like the discipline, the respect it gives you, and just confidence gives you. And if anything, I believe everybody should be learning self-defense. Because it gives you confidence, you know. The world is a crazy place, and being able to like walk into a room or walk into anywhere and be confident in your own shoes, be confident in yourself, I think is really important. So, but yeah, and again,
helps you in everything, right?
Yeah, everything.
Decision making, way of being, confidence, right?
And it
The
transfers
presence.
exactly, and it transfers directly into like a workplace environment too. In my professional career, having patience with people, understanding, listening, respecting, it all transfers over. So I think it's really important. But yeah, trained at Kenums for until I was like 20 something, and then all the older heads left. My friend left too, so I was like, damn, okay, I have to find something else. And then I remember I was getting Açai here with one of my friends, and he's like, you should check this place out. I was like, what the hell? Like, I didn't even notice this. I was like, oh wow, okay, yeah, cool. And then again, like, it was really cool because it re-sparked that like the love I had for martial arts again, because I was already getting like burnt out because everybody left. I was only training. I was with like younger kids and stuff. But then whenever I came and I started my first practice, it was so exciting. And I'll never forget, I went to my first practice, and it was with Professor Joey. And in Judo, we have a move called a kesakatami, which we get someone in a position, it looks like a headlock.
Right.
And then, you know, I did Judo before, so I was kind of confident. I'm like, okay, you know what, like, I'm a white belt, yeah, but I know how to work. And the second I did that move, Joey hates headlocks. So he's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, stop that shit. I was cracking up.
Yeah, because big jiu-jitsu curriculums were like always doing like, you know, scarf escapes or whatever you want to call it, head and arm and wrestling, right?
Yeah, exactly. So even like that, I don't know what happened, just like altered my brain chemistry. I was like, okay, yeah, this is nice. Like, people care, like they want to make you better, and just in general. And then after coming here, just in all respect to you, like the environment that you made, the family environment, and everybody just working to push you to get better is amazing. Because I've checked out other gyms before, like in my past, and they kind of just like leave you alone, you know, like, okay, yeah, you're here, pay your monthly, okay, yeah, go do whatever you want. But coming over here is literally feels like a second home. And that's what my parents and my girlfriend make fun of. It was like, oh, you're going to your second house? I'm like, yeah, basically. So,
yeah, you're almost every day, right?
Yeah.
On the mat, lifting weights, working out.
Or I'm sleeping at the gym in the back. Yeah, for sure.
It reminded me, man, of a story. Have you heard of Rico Rodriguez?
No.
He was like a UFC champ. He beat Randy Couture and stuff, and he used to wrestle, right? And he went down to Brazil. He was like one of the first like world champion jiu-jitsu, like the lower levels, you know. And then they kept like robbing him and the because they don't want him to win, you know.
Yep.
In the tournaments. He was like, I think, ADCC champ as well. But he would get everybody. He was really big, you know. And so he would get everybody in like the head and arm, the kasakatami, right? And tap him out because he was so strong, you know. And so all the black belts and all those guys, because you don't practice it a lot once you're like at higher level, you're competing and you're doing different things, right? But like in our beginners class and our fundamentals were like self defense, like because they're even if you know some basic things, to grab the head. It's like a natural instinct, right? So he was tapping everybody out, and so they had to actually practice it like again, like drill it, so they wouldn't get tapped out. And he was really good at it.
Yeah.
And he got a skilled judoka or skilled like wrestler too. He wrestled, right? Man, you can tap people out.
And it's totally different. I think like having that judo background really helped me out a lot, because coming in, I understood like having balance, being calm under pressure, working different positions and all that, or like keeping pressure on opponents. So having that judo background definitely helped a lot. And honestly, that was my goal of mine too. Like one day, like, okay, like this was like when I first started. I started whenever I was 21. I'm 30 now.
Yeah.
So I would say like, 9 years ago, I'm like double black belt. Like, that'd be sick.
That's cool that you thought about that. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get double. That's cool.
And like I'm very persistent, and like I said, like I fell in love with the place. So I'm like, okay, this is it.
People give you, they help you, and they give you a hard time, like joking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember, like Marco. I know, Raffi, you're a brown belt, all right? Like, I was just giving you,
I know,
messing with
so
you.
sometimes I feel bad when I'm rolling with them. Like, damn, did I roll kind of too hard? But no, I loved it, and everybody I felt like helped me out too. From like Marco, from Kevin, from you, all the other coaches. Honestly, it was amazing. And then having our judo program here now too. Honestly, like, and then coaching and doing all that stuff. I don't want to like sound cheesy, but like dream come true, like being able to help others. I love it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Were you born here in the U.S. or in Armenia?
Yeah, born and raised in Burbank.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Like, as you know, like Armenian families are very tight knit. So wherever everybody is, like that's where their kids are born. That's where they go to school.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about it earlier. Went to Armenian private school, so very like tight knit. And martial arts was never like a thing that was, at least in my family, that was like practiced or anything. It was just go to school, get your job, and get all that. But I always like respected physical activity, being healthy, and wanting to like push yourself to do better. And I always like being active. So having this was amazing. And before even martial arts, I had played water polo. I had played water polo for like 6-7 years before. I mean, like I was a kid going up until I was like 16, 17. So having like a physical contact sport was something that was like in my blood.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like jiu-jitsu, right, in water, because you're like grappling under the water and stuff. You're trying to drown each other.
Yeah. Honestly, sometimes it's even dirtier because underwater they don't see what's happening. So I had multiple like tournaments where people are punching each other, like going underwater. Doing
Punching
stuff.
too.
Yeah. So that was really fun. And then whenever I left water polo, I needed like another like physical contact thing. I played soccer a little bit, but it wasn't the same. Played basketball. Wasn't the same. Don't ask me to play basketball now. I suck. But transferring over to like martial arts was great. And now I'm here 10 years later.
Yeah.
I don't know, trying to pick up something else. Maybe do like Muay Thai, honestly, like picking up striking. So yeah, like a trifecta.
Never stop learning, right? Keep improving.
Yeah, that's exciting. I want to ask you the question, like, how did you start? Like, how was your journey into like the martial arts world?
Man, when I was a little kid, I wrestled a little bit, in like elementary. But then in my high school, we didn't have wrestling, so I actually played soccer, because that's what, I had some friends that were playing. Hey, join the team. Okay. And then I did it. But it's funny, I was talking about Rico Rodriguez, our rival soccer team. He was also the wrestling coach at that high school. They had wrestling there. And Rico Rodriguez wrestled for him. He was always trying to recruit one of our guys who was a heavyweight that played soccer. But my friend, he did some Muay Thai, so he would show me in his house, and I never really had a mentor.
Yeah.
Like a place, like a really like legit place that I went to. Because it's like it's tricky, right? Finding the right environment, the right place where you feel you're aligned, right? That's why I always tell people, like, go to different places and then see what feels right.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody's different. Some places might not feel right for you. Or some sports, some people come and they'll try jiu-jitsu, they might not like it, but then they try Muay Thai, they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. So you have to be open to like trying to experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So then after high school, I was right after high school. Like I was working at this restaurant, this fine dining restaurant, and these guys were inviting me to go do this jiu-jitsu thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, and then I was like, all right, fine, I'll go. And my friend, he was much smaller than me. He armbarred me like 10 times. I said 10 times because I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, let's go again, let's go
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
And I was like, I couldn't stop thinking about it after that. I was like, I got to learn this.
yeah.
And then it was like they had the first UFC already, but it was still like so early on, like nobody knew what it
Yeah,
was.
that was like back in the day. Even like, were there even any like established schools or
no,
like
there was
not as
no
many
there was
right
no
now?
jiu-jitsu schools.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened to be that there was this guy. He was like a Navy SEAL,
Mm-hmm.
and he had trained with one of the Machado brothers, and he had started a class. I was in a smaller town called in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and it just happened to be that he was in the town, and it just attracted all like the big or the main martial artists, like kind of like in that whole area,
Mm-hmm.
and they all ended up at that place.
That's cool. You get to train with like all the heavy hitters too.
Yeah, I was a kid, right? I was young. I was, whatever, I was 17, 18. I was 18, 18. And then all the guys were like older, and I don't know, it was really great. Some wrestlers would come in. Um, yeah, but I fell in love with it. And then one of my, one of the guys in that group, Amal Easton, ended up going to Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came back like 6 months later, and then started training in his garage every day. And then he took me to a couple tournaments.
That's sick.
And then I just, I read that like a book, like Think and Grow Rich, and I set my goals, and then that was it. I just never looked back.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on the journey, but that's amazing, especially coming from like back in the day when there wasn't any like established stuff, like learning everything and doing.
Yeah, it was interesting, right? Because you come back, and people know what karate and like taekwondo was, right?
Yeah.
Maybe judo,
Yeah.
But jiu-jitsu was like, what's jiu-jitsu, Unless you watched those first like UFCs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was like so like underground of a thing. And then I was educating people on how it worked, right, in a street fight, because it's not very like doesn't make
practical.
sense.
You can't like get someone in your guard on the concrete. You're can you get your
but just back in those days it was different. It was like a fight club kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it was it was like the way jiu-jitsu was kind of grown.
Mm-hmm.
It was jiu-jitsu versus judo, jiu-jitsu versus whatever, all the different martial arts, right?
Especially back in the early like UFC days,
Right.
because you would have people with like wrestling background come in and smash people. You have people with like a karate background come in and do different things. So I think like that back in the day, like UFC stuff, it was crazy because you saw like key different martial arts coming and fighting together.
Yeah.
Versus like now everybody's kind of like trained
They know
in
everything. Yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
Back then you would see someone in like a gi versus someone in like a speedo and like wrestling stuff. So
yeah, it's interesting you say that, right? Because you can't forget the roots and how it grew and why even judo, everything's I think doing better. Wrestling, everything's doing better because of the UFC, because of the popularity. It's a mainstream sport.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to like little Hoist Gracie, beating all the different martial arts.
Yep.
With like good technique. You're like, wow, this is I have to learn this.
No, it's important, and it's set like a foundation for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, like if you see tournaments now, it's not like people are just doing, in my opinion, even if it's a jiu-jitsu tournament, they're coming and they're doing judo or they're doing wrestling, and you're seeing it incorporated.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're making it into like something totally different, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting, and it makes me want to like come back into competing more.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time,
I remember you had when you first started getting to jiu-jitsu, you had that. Was it a Jiu-Jitsu World League? Which tournament?
I think
like
so,
you had like 10 matches or something crazy.
Oh my god!
Remember that?
That was nuts, because every time I'm like, okay, I finished one match, you're like, all right, you're on the mat again, and then we're sitting there like, I just fought 5 times. What are you talking about?
And then you did like the open weight or something too. It was something crazy like that.
Yeah,
You're like, all right, okay.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then it was a nogi open weight. I versed someone like, I'm not that tall, man. I'm like, I'm pushing it right now. I'm like, I'm 5'10". But I versed someone that was like 6'5", almost like over 200 pounds. I'm 170. But having that judo background, having jiu-jitsu and stuff, like practicing, it was great. And then I asked this guy later. He was like a D1 college wrestler. I swear to God, whenever he came in, his thighs were like as big as my body,
Yeah.
like this big. So just rolling with him, I was like, holy shit, like what's about to happen? But like you said, like having like proper foundations and having like a background experience
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
it was really exciting. But yeah, now like I want to come back into competing, but I want to set up my like professional career, like make sure everything's there, take care of my family and stuff, and then go back into it when I'm like a little bit more comfy. Because whenever I try competing, like I go all out. Like
Yeah. You focus.
yeah,
You
you need to
lose-
train and
yeah.
everything like that. And then my friends are trying to convince me now too. They're like, you should go like join the UFC now since you have like 2 black belts. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll
It
go.
could be like a bucket list thing, right? Like,
Yeah, that's what
just
I
to
was
do
saying.
it, just to get the experience. You know?
Exactly.
Just say I did it, fight in the cage, right?
Yeah. Well, my old judo coach wanted to put me into UFC stuff, but keep going back to it. Like Armenian family, my parents like, yeah, you're not gonna go and have your face all messed up and come back like all bloodied. I'm like, it's okay. I want to go once, hopefully win, and then retire after that, just so I could say I did it.
Yeah, yeah. You've earned that right. I think all the years on the mat
Yeah.
training.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited to start striking because it's something like foreign.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I've done probably like under a year of kickboxing when I first started. So like going back into it, I think will be really exciting. So that's why like, I always check all the Muay Thai guys in the back. I love the shorts and the gloves and stuff. So I don't know. That's the thing. Like I got my black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, got it in Judo. So I want to like start all over again. I love constantly learning and growing. We just talked about. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. How'd you get into training, like personal training, that kind of world?
That is funny because I feel like any high school, so I can't even say like because of a private school or anything like that. I was never the biggest person. Growing up, I was like 120 pounds, like toothpick skinny. So going to different parties or going from different areas, I got tired of being like the smallest person in the room. And I want to grow my self-confidence. I want to grow myself.
It's funny because I don't think of you as small. You're like buff. You
Yeah,
know,
right. It's totally different now. Yeah, shoes on the other foot. But it was funny because I believe it first started whenever I did water polo. So when I played water polo, I gained like 30 pounds because I was constantly eating, swimming, training every day. So I got into that routine of going and training every day, and you slowly got bigger, gained weight, got a little bit more mass. But then it still was the same because I feel like whenever you're a kid, like you're always gonna get you're always gonna get picked on, but it depends on your environment. There's always challenging events, growing
Even
events
as you
and
get
all that
older,
stuff.
right? Like, just things happen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Even if it's not physically, it's in another way.
Exactly. So just in general, not even only about being big. When I first started working out, I started feeling just confident in my shoes, carrying myself better around. If it's for work, if it's for school, for anything. So I think that's what started like my interest in it. And I was training, getting stronger. Like, okay, I'm a small guy, but I'm able to take on someone that's twice as big as me. When I first started judo, I was like, okay, like let me keep continuing this. So just started training more, got into like a routine. But at first I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But after like understanding it, because people would consider, in my opinion, like working out, like, okay, yeah, you go to the gym, but that's it. But if you're really serious about it, I don't want to call it a martial art, but there's an art behind it, knowing how to train.
For sure.
Knowing how to train. And then it was funny because before I started any martial art, like when I first started judo, I used to work out like crazy. I was like the biggest person on that mat. And I felt like I was a walking like brick. Like I couldn't scratch my own back or anything. So when I came in, I saw all these kids that are like 12 years old, 13 years old. And they're just practicing like, oh, I could take these kids on. I got smashed. Like I got smashed every day. And what I liked about that place too, it was a little bit more old school. So like you weren't babied. It was like if you come and if you train, and if you're the baby, you're gonna get your ass kicked. So they like instilled like, okay, like you have to understand that there's a level of respect. Like you don't like, yeah, you're big, but all these kids just tossing me and like, okay, I have to understand technique. I can't just muscle my way out of everything. So that's what like kind of flipped the switch in my head. I'm like, okay, I don't understand shit. I need to like figure out what's going on. So training with them, again, building my self-confidence, building my technique, building my skills. And then what was nice is that I had that strength to pair it with that. So yeah, certain positions when I get into, I muscle my way out of it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, why not? But then understanding how to train for martial arts now, like that's what I started doing then, and then continuing and growing that now. Because you could go in to work out, you could do your bicep curls, you could do all that stuff. It's great, sure, if you're trying to be a bodybuilder, but if you're doing any form of martial arts, you have to adapt like your physical like weight training to that too. So if I'm doing cleans, if I'm doing deadlifts or anything, it transfers everything over to this. If someone's on top of me, I'm able to throw them off or get in a certain position that I want. So it's nice. And then hopefully like instill a training program and help others with that too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
What do you enjoy about training others?
Honestly, seeing the look on their faces. I didn't understand that up until we started doing the judo class. And overall, not only one person, but seeing everybody grow. Like when everybody first came in, honestly, they were afraid to like fall down.
Yeah.
Or whenever we're doing their techniques or Danny's like throwing me or Ron is throwing me and I'm falling and I'm slamming on the mat, I'm break falling, they're like, oh my God, like what the hell is happening? But whenever they started learning how to do the techniques, how to fall correctly, how to do it to other BJJ people now.
Yeah.
Like whenever they go and they're doing open mat and I see them doing their tosses, they're doing their judo moves, then they come back to me, they're like, oh, hey, Raffi, like, you know, it worked or this is working. Like, it's great. And
at
just
the tournaments too, right?
Mm-hmm. And just seeing their look on their faces, or Yeni going and doing like judo moves at the her most recent tournament too. It was amazing, and just it gives you like a satisfaction, like damn, like okay, like I'm
Making
helping
a difference.
others.
Yeah, yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I just had a thought. Like there was a time when you were like they were like saying they were telling people that you had a twin.
Yeah.
Because you're like super nice, you know, big smile on your face, and then other days you're just like super serious.
Yeah.
It's
funny. I think it egged
like
it
you're
on.
like a different person. You're like in the zone, you know, like focused on training, working hard, you know.
Oh my God, that was.
And then you went with it. It was like a couple years, right?
Yeah,
It was like for a while.
Andrea
Andrea
and Erica still don't know.
and Erica still don't know.
That was so funny because.
And they were like, yeah, let's go with it. So that we'll say like they're trying to, you know, come on two guys on one membership, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. But what are you talking about? I do have a twin. His name's Michael.
There we go.
Yeah. But yeah, because whenever I come to train, sometimes like I'm in the zone.
Yeah,
I'm like crazy in the zone, and yeah, it looks weird. Whenever I come, I'm like lifting weights. I don't talk to anybody. I'm just like just training, and I have everything closed off.
It was such a good like joke because it was totally that, you know, like, man, and you're like, man, you're right. And you're right. He's like,
you know what I think started too? I think it was one of Erica's friends. I forgot her name. I had posted a picture where I like photoshopped myself next to myself. And I think I was like eating breakfast. I was doing something. So it literally looked like I was talking to my twin, and then she had messaged me. She's like, oh, I didn't know you had a twin brother. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, like I have a twin, but he doesn't really train, or he trains like something else, like judo. Like he did judo, I did jujitsu, or he did weights and I did the martial arts. So I think that's what sparked it, because then they were telling me like they will go back and like look at pictures and like see what's happening. They're trying to like investigate. And then whenever you guys told me, I'm like, okay, like this is hilarious. I have to keep egging it on. So on purpose, sometimes I would come in.
they still don't know.
Yeah, they still don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
What's that?
If they watch this, they'll know.
Yeah. So sometimes I would come into like the gym room and I would even say hi to Andrea, because she usually walks in. I would just like have a mean face on and I would lift. Or I would come to practice and like not talk to anybody. It was so funny. Or Marco would egg it on to him, goes like, oh, what's up, Michael? Like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, what's up, bro? I'd have like a cool vibe.
Hey, what would Andrea say? What would she do? If she would Michael.
She would try, or if she would stop Michael, she would try eyeing me down, like seeing if there's any like difference. Like, okay, like Raffi has a scar here. Does he have a scar here? No. Okay. Does he have this? Oh, he does this. I'm like, oh yeah, like, you know. And then they would come and ask me, like, do you have a brother? I'm like, yeah, I have a twin brother. And I would just leave it at that, and I would just like walk away. Like I would try to make it like very like not obvious that I'm lying. Oh my God.
It was really good because I was thinking, yeah, he does come in where he's like, he has a different personality. He's like a different guy.
So just egging it on. I wonder if they still think that. But yeah, probably after like watching this.
He said, yeah, they do. Yeah, they still don't know.
So next time I come in, it's like, "What's up, Michael?" Like, "What's up?" Yeah, that was cool. But I actually do have like a little brother. He's 22 years old. He's actually not little. He's taller than me. But I'm trying to get him to come to martial arts and like practice and do everything like that. But you can I learned like you can't really like force people to come in and like train and do stuff. Everybody has a different vibe. He loves working out and stuff, and I tell him I'm like, bro, like I could train you. I could like show you what's up. Yeah, like you could be the sickest like competitor and everything, but he has a own different vibe, which I respect. You know, I love my brother, but like that's his thing. And then I have my other friends coming, and they're like, oh, you know, like, am I too old enough to train? Like, because they're 30 years old and stuff too. I'm like, no, it's like, it's never. And I'm seeing some of the people over here that come, they're older than me. Yeah. And they're training, and like, they're getting their black belts or they're getting, whichever belt they're getting. If I'm able to like move like them, and I tell them like, if anything, you are my biggest inspiration. Because if I'm like 50 plus years old, and if I'm able to move around comfortably and how they do, I'll be happy. Yeah. Because I see kids my age that are just letting themselves go. I feel like after like 30, especially, because like your body starts settling in, if you're not really a person who trains and stuff.
You're not moving enough.
Yeah. So you're 30 years old, but you feel like you're 50. We kind of feel like that here too with the injuries that we have. But in general, like overall, like you feel healthier, you feel more mobile. Yeah. And I think that's really important. So like even telling my parents right now too, which are like in their late 50s and their 60s, like I was telling my dad, I'm like, you have to be able to move around, you have to do that stuff. So I think this is like, just in general, martial arts is such like a lifelong journey. Like I don't see myself stopping. And that's the thing. My parents are like, okay, like, you know, you got your double black belts. You're going to retire now, right? No.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle for sure.
It keeps you young too. It keeps you like, you can be whatever age you are, but you know, maybe people that are in like 50, in their 50s or 60s, I've seen them be better than people in their like mid 20s.
Yeah, of course.
Keep out of shape and
of course. Some of the people I roll with here, and I asked them, I'm like, how old are you? They're like, oh yeah, I'm like, I'm 45. I'm like, you're 45? Yeah. You look like you're 20. It's insane. Or what always tripped me out when I first met Damien.
Damien,
yeah. I'm like, I honestly thought he was younger than me. I'm like, how old are you? I think he's like 40 something. Damien, sorry, Damien. He's like, oh yeah, I'm like 40 something. He's like way older than me. I'm like, what the hell? I thought you're 24 years old.
I remember when you came into the Masters training, and I'm like, hey, Damon, how old are you? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So honestly, if I could be like them and be like young and mobile for like as long as I can, it's really important. And honestly, like I've worked out my entire life. Like I've done like weight training. At a certain point, in my opinion, like it gets boring going into the room. How many different bicep workouts can I do? How many different like back workouts can I do? And then coming and at least like training on the mat, every day is different. Sometimes you're gonna smash everybody. Sometimes you're gonna get smashed. Other days you're gonna be training for, like me, like I've trained for 5+ years, for example, and I learned a new move. Yeah. You know, so it's constantly growing. Or even now, like how we talked about, everybody's adapting different sports all into one. Yeah. Just watching like a YouTube video of some of the ADCC tournaments, seeing what they're doing. Yeah. And trying to incorporate that like into practice. Like, okay, let me try this move. Like, oh shit, like it works. You know. So it's like a ever expanding pool of like knowledge.
Yeah, and it never stops.
Yeah. And honestly, like in my professional career, I sit behind the desk, sit on a chair like for like 8 hours a day. So being able to like move around the rest of the day and like expand and like do a bunch of stuff, it's great because I can't just sit down hunched over.
What do you do?
So right now the best way I can describe it is I do IT for Disney, but in their advertising department.
Gotcha.
So I'm the person who makes sure all the annoying commercials that you see on your streaming services work and that you watch those commercials. But it's exciting because it's a lot of networking, and I see a lot of cool, I guess you could say, like commercials before they come out, or like movies and stuff. They give us access to see some of like movies like a year before they're out. So it has its cool perks, and on top of that, like trying to save up, trying to start a family, get a house and everything like that. So it's really important. And like finding a balance between that and training was like pretty hard because sometimes like I have like late nights and stuff, but then I like drag myself to practice. And even then, like I know it sounds weird to whenever I explain to other people, but I know you would understand, like it's like therapy where like I could have a hard day. I've had hard meetings or like people are arguing or yelling, and then you just come in and it all goes away because you leave it all on the mats. You come, it's kind of like yoga where like that's the only thing you think about. Or like you can have a tough day, but someone, your homie comes, like, or I come talk to you, I come talk to Kevin, I come talk to any of the other guys. It just makes my day better, you know? It's nice. And at the end of that day, like someone could come cuss me out or like do whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, you know, like I get it all on the mat.
Yeah.
So I like it a lot.
Yeah. Man, yeah, you know, like different, you know, different Armenians. I say different Armenians from different kind of places, or from Iran, from Iraq, Lebanon, right? Beiruti.
Yeah.
And all the, what your family is, what kind of Armenian?
It's funny you asked. My friends call me half-breed.
Half-breed, okay.
Because there's different like dialects in different places. So I'm half Hayastansi, which is
from
like
Armenia.
Yeah, and then half Beiruti, which is from Lebanon.
Okay.
And my parents are half, so both of them are half.
Okay.
Which I guess makes me half too. But yeah, so I have friends for both spectrums. Some are full Hayastansi, some are full Beiruti. So they always make fun of me. Like, yeah, like you're a half-breed.
And from Armenia, like they have the I guess it's Eastern dialect, right?
Yeah, Eastern, Western.
And then Lebanon has like Western.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if people say like North or South still too, but then you have like the Persian accents.
Right.
You have more like, there's even harder like Russian accent, like Russian Armenian as well. So yeah, and going into like an Armenian school too, it was kind of hard because it was like, oh, you're Hayastansi, like, oh, you're better, like, you're from Lebanon, like, oh, you don't know, like, that's not Armenian. It's like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, we're all Armenian. But it was hard for me because since I was both, whenever I was a kid, I had a really hard time, like, switching on and off from, like, from the dialects. Yeah. And it was hard because, not that I would get bullied from, like, students, teachers would, because at my old school, they wouldn't have two teachers, like, that speak two different dialects. Because it was like a long time ago, and they would have, okay, like, this is your Armenian teacher, they only speak one dialect, that's what you're gonna learn. So people that were like Hayastansi couldn't speak like the Lebanese version of it. And whatever I had a problem with was I would mix both of them together. And I remember whenever I would go and I would like read a book or I would like say a speech, my teacher would get pissed off. And it was really like, it was bothersome because she would pull me up in front of class and goes like, this is how you don't speak Armenian. I was like, what are you guys, like, what are you talking about? And I got pissed off, and it would happen like multiple times, and I would expect like, okay, I get bullied from like my peers, I'm here getting bullied from a professor. Like, shut the hell up, bro. I literally told him I'm never gonna talk in your class again. It was really dumb.
I took some Armenian lessons. I had a friend that was, because I was training at that Gold's Gym in Pasadena, and they had the Armenian church there in Colorado, and they have a school there, right? But they teach Western Armenian. So I went there, and I went a couple times, and I was like, and my wife, she's from the Eastern, Haydnadats. How do you say that?
Haydnadats.
Yeah. Their family went from Iran to Armenia. So I went a couple times, and I was like, she's like, yeah, it's not our dialect, So I'm like, all right, no, never mind.
Yeah.
I tried it over there.
There's like so many different dialects, and then there's even like old school versions of them.
But those are the big ones, right? It's like Eastern, Western, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we live in like, maybe not like Burbank as much, but Glendale's like the epicenter. I call it like Little Armenia. Yeah. Almost everybody you run into is gonna be Armenian. But even now, like, there's still that like feud of like, what's a better Armenian? But at the end of the day, everybody's the same. Yeah. And
same family values, the important things, right?
And now, like, talking about my old school, they completely changed it where it's like they have teachers for different dialects, and they have teachers that will actually like help you learn and stuff. And talking about that professor that used to bully me, I got my master's like right here in Woodbury in Burbank. She ended up being in my class, in my graduate class.
No way.
Yeah, such a big trip. And the entire time I'm like, oh my god. I'm like,
you talked to her.
I had to do a class project with her too, and I was like, god
You told her, you was like, man, you remember this? That,
yeah, I'm like, remember? And she would make it like, oh yeah, remember when we used to do this? I'm like, shut the hell up. She's older than me, and I pay respects 100%.
Of course.
But at the same time, in the back of my head, I'm like, you don't even know like half the things you did to me.
Bullying me in front of everybody.
Yeah, it was messed up. And then even back in school, it was like whenever I went, it wasn't as organized as it is now. So it was funny because it was 12th grade, like my last year, and we had too many kids in our class, and they were like, okay, like we need some people to leave and go to this other class. So they expanded our Armenian class. And little did I know that they put me in a special Armenian class. So it's it's like ASL Armenian, where they don't know how to speak.
Right. ESL, right?
Yeah, ESL, sorry.
English is a second language.
Yeah, so I was cracking up because that professor too, she spoke Eastern, but everybody spoke Western. So they didn't understand what she was saying or doing everything like that. So it's such a split. So I ended up teaching everybody in the class how to speak or how to do her tests and everything like that. And she got pissed off. And she had failed me for like there's like a behavioral like thing that they give you. She had failed me, so she took me off like the honor roll of the class. So I got my ass beat by my parents. Like, well, what do you mean? Like, you're doing so good. Like, it's not my fault.
So your parents, they're mixed also.
Yeah.
And so, how did that happen? Like they're so your grandparents or whatever, one of them moved to Armenia.
Yeah. After
because there was genocide and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, like my grandpa and my grandma. My grandpa was born in Lebanon.
Gotcha.
My grandma was from Armenia, and then from Lebanon he went back to Armenia
after the genocide.
After the genocide, and then from there, they lived for like a couple more years, and they went back to Lebanon.
Okay.
And then from there, had my dad, and then my dad left from Lebanon and came over here, and then my mom, her mom was born in Armenia, and her dad was born in Lebanon, and then same thing. Came back to Armenia, and everybody moved back over here, and then born in Burbank. I like to feel like I didn't move too far away from Armenia because honestly, like everywhere you look, they're all around. But I love it. I love the whole like family aspect of it too.
Yeah,
and growing up like that and coming to like, sorry, I keep bringing you back to jiu-jitsu, but coming back here and like seeing that as well, I was like, oh shit, like this is sick. So
the Armenian connection, right? With Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's kind of crazy.
I want to ask you, like, how'd you get that school started? Was it in Yerevan?
Yerevan, yeah. So Ruben and then Andre, who's like the head coach there. He's they started training. Actually, Aaron, Aaron, Big Aaron. So he went over there on just a vacation. And then he was like seeing who was out there, and so there was a few groups. Andre was in one. Ruben, then they were training in the back of a warehouse. You know? He was like the security there, and then they just kept it going. But he started kind of just connecting, and he told me about it, and he's like, yeah, and I think he promoted. He asked me if he could promote like them, and then we stayed connected, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go there. I don't know when, like maybe in a year or 2 years, and then we just stayed connected, and then I finally went. And then I went back every year.
Yeah, it's sick. I love seeing like the clips or the videos that you have of that place. Like it grew so much.
Yeah.
And seeing like a place like that established in Armenia, it's so sick.
And so Andre used to live here, and his family, his brother, they're still here. And then he's very proud to like represent in Armenia.
Of course.
And kind of give back to the community and the kids and the adults too.
Yeah, it's great too because, at least in Armenia, like a big thing over there is wrestling. So having just that gym be there and established, I thought it was like the sickest thing ever.
Yeah, it's jiu-jitsu, like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, really Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like all the games and
Didn't they just have a tournament too? They went to like Abu Dhabi.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. They're kicking ass.
Yeah.
They're like the number one. There's like some of their kids are from some of the smaller towns,
Yeah.
And so they're like kicking ass. They're like the number 2 kids team in Europe out of all the the places.
Yeah, man, that's sick.
And the Abu Dhabi Federation and the adults too.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. They've done some great work. There's a gym now, another legacy in like Sochi area. So like in Russia.
That's so.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
they're
love
doing good
how
work.
it's like expanding and stuff. And I want to ask you this: as like having your schools expand, like how's that feel? You're able to like reach more people.
Man, I'm just trying to help, do my best, like supporting everybody, and my thing is always I want to see everybody do their best, be their best, you know.
Yeah, of course.
And that's different for everybody, and that means different for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like the one thing that's good for one person isn't good for another person.
100%.
So I'm here to support you guys.
Yeah.
I'm just here to serve, you know. It feels great, you know, like feels like I'm making a difference, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And that's so rewarding, and that motivates me to see you guys get good and
Yeah.
to stay focused, stay healthy,
Yeah.
right? Like, because you know people can fall off, right? Get fat and just lose it, you know.
Yeah, I love how falling off like was a blue belt curse or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a long journey for sure, and sometimes people like love it, and then 1 year later they're like, honestly, like screw this.
Yeah.
And I've had some friends like that. They start martial arts and then they give up. But honestly, sorry to sound cheesy, but thank you for like always like staying consistent and always like being there for everybody.
Yeah.
It's great motivation and honestly like role model. Like one day I hope to honestly have like a training place like that, or honestly like Burbank, because I'm a big gym head. You know that, like having the gym in the back and then
Yeah.
having the mats. I think
Yeah.
that's the best combo
Yeah.
too. So it's exciting. Like I even got some mats on my and I practice in my garage, and I have like expensive, like my parents have like their furniture around, so anytime I practice or I practice with my cousins, they're like, okay, like be careful, like don't break anything. But having that like that motivation and to grow and transferring that to other people, I think is really important. And I just had one of my cousins just got his blue belt. And for like
Awesome.
5-6 years, I was telling him, I'm like, just practice, you'd never know if you might like it or whatever. And as much as I told him, he never listened to me, but he went with one of his friends. He started practicing, but now he's like going twice a day. He's going
Amazing.
every day. He just got his blue belt too.
Amazing.
He's texting me videos. And then now we practice in my garage, like we work on moves and stuff. So it's really exciting. And I'm trying to get my other friends into it too.
Yeah.
But I call them grandpas because they just sit down and they work. They don't do anything else.
Yeah, but it's dangerous, right? It's
Yeah.
like their biggest kind of pandemic in a way, biggest thing that's really bad, right? That's so bad for everybody's health. It's
Yeah.
just sitting down and not doing stuff, right?
Yeah, because a lot of people just get comfortable they get too comfortable being comfortable. Because it's easy to go, okay, you do your job. Okay, come home. Okay, I'm going to chill. I'm going to eat whatever I want and all
Yeah.
that stuff. By all means, go enjoy yourself. But then once you start reaching your 40s, your 50s, you're not going to work the same. And at least as like a guy, like you have a bunch of testosterone in you. And if you don't like be active, if you don't work out, it's going to get harder and harder and harder. The
And
more
if you don't
go.
use it, you lose it, right?
No, literally.
Yeah, literally.
So that's what I explained to my friends too, because they were complaining about like their body's hurting, they're not motivated, they're not this, and I'm telling them like, guys, you have to like at least do something or train. Yeah.
Get off the screen, get on the mat.
Yeah, get off the screen.
And also be around the right people, right? Like the relationships, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like pushing each other,
exactly.
giving each other a hard time, joking and
exactly.
having a good time.
And they think I'm joking with them. They're like, oh, Raffi, you work out enough for all of us. I'm like, no. You guys come, like we'll train and we'll do a bunch of like different stuff. Like, I'm not saying only come try jujitsu. Try something else.
Yeah.
And then having one of my cousins come in and do martial arts and starting to understand, and now he comes back and he's like, you know what, like thank you, like this is sick. I think it takes like different things to open people's eyes to it, but once they like get that, I think it just takes it like that first like motivational thing. They're like, okay, like, oh wow, like I look pretty good or I feel great, and then that kind of pushes you to go further too.
Keep going, yeah.
And I had this one friend, I'm giving him a shout out, his name's Oleg, and I grew up with him. He was one of my best friends since I was like in 5th grade. And at a certain point, he got to like almost being 300 pounds, like almost pushing 300 pounds. And I was...
It happens, man, fast.
Yeah.
And you don't pay attention.
Especially whenever you get older.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting down, and if you're just sitting and eating one way or another, you're not moving, it's going to keep adding and adding. And I kept telling him, I'm like, bro, it's just going to take you, like, try 1 month. Try 1 month.
That's awesome, yeah. That's it.
And I don't even have to tell you after that. Once you see the results, you're going to be like, damn, okay, like, I need to go. And this guy is now 175 pounds, 180 pounds. He weighs less than me. I'm 195, but like he dropped over 100 pounds.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and now he's like crazy confident. He's going out, he's doing a bunch of stuff. Just still trying to get him into martial arts, but having him see that with his own eyes, I think like
Feel it, right?
Yeah,
Too.
I think it's really important, and especially like I said, like people getting older don't realize it until later. They're like, okay, I'm having health problems. Then what, you're gonna wait until you have health problems
Yeah.
to then start like working out and doing stuff? Come
Yeah.
on, doesn't make sense.
And it happens fast, right? Then, besides the weight, right? That with that comes it's like a ticking time bomb, right?
Yeah.
Heart attacks and everything else, diabetes, and
Yeah, and honestly, anybody could go at any time, but like how I look at it is like at least I want to be healthy and being able to be, like not in pain.
yeah, live your life, right?
Yeah,
And that's how it should be. You should be your best at every age, right? That's what
Yeah.
that's what we want. Like we want to. You asked me what I want. I want to see everybody be their best, right? And
Yeah.
be their best at every age.
exactly.
Yeah, because we go through different things, right? Priorities are different when we're
Yeah.
younger, teenagers, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah, like life is crazy. Like you go through different things. It could be a great life-changing event. It could be something with your work or whatever it is. But I think just having that motivation to keep pushing forward and working out. It could be anything, martial arts. It could be just weightlifting or even walking. Something to like always
Stay moving, yeah.
Yeah, stay moving.
Active.
And I love what you're doing with like the tag fit stuff too. Seeing all like the older parents come in and they're moving around. I think it's great because they're probably feeling like they've never felt, or whenever they felt like whenever they were like 18 years old or 20 years old,
Yeah.
being able to be mobile like that. I think it's really important.
Yeah. Thank you. Awesome. I wanted to go back to the Armenia because you were asking me how that happened, and
Yeah.
and I'm proud of this thing too. Like
Yeah.
I first got there and they were like in different spots, right? They didn't have a gym or anything. And then they were like in the basement of a salon, had like pink walls, and it was like foam.
It's like an underground fight club.
Totally. It was like, it was like there's like water damage. He said Andre Arjun, he's the head coach, right? He was saying Professor Andre. He was just saying how like sometimes they'd like find like rats and stuff.
Yeah.
like totally.
It's not a good training environment, but imagine all those guys are going over there and
No,
putting
but they
time.
put the work in. They put the
Yeah.
work in, and eventually they got like Ruben in his the lower level. They found a spot, and set it up and built it, and
Yeah, when I was looking at the pictures, it looks so sick.
yeah, it's really nice, and the people are coming from all over, to train with them, world class. Like
course.
even Hodger Gracie was there.
That's so sick. That's
you
so
know,
sick.
all these like champions and all these people are going to Armenia, right?
Yeah, of course. And then having a place like that, especially someone who's born over there,
Yeah.
having a place to train at that like caliber, it opens up doors. Like you said, like they're going into practicing, or sorry, they're competing at Abu Dhabi
Right.
and like winning tournaments
Right.
and like doing all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
they're kicking butt.
yeah,
They're winning. They're doing really well. It's cool. Like with the kids, right? But then also like the adults, right? There's a lot of IT guys,
Mhm.
right, in Armenia,
Yeah.
in front of the computer. And,
yeah, exactly.
And it's great, right? Because they have a good place for them to go, and the quality of people. That's another thing I'm really proud of when I go. Just the quality of people that are there
Yeah,
is really high, and that reminds me of the kind of what we do here.
yeah, of
With
course.
the caliber of quality of people here.
Yeah, because honestly, it's making everybody like come closer together. It's making everybody like motivate one another, and just seeing that gym itself and how it was established. I was like, holy crap! Whenever I went, it was like in 11th grade, like years ago. But knowing how much like businesses and stuff has grown in Armenia, and having like a place, like an outlet for all these other people to come
Yeah.
and train and do stuff. And now I'm like, damn, like I can't wait to like go back, and I want to visit that
Yeah,
place too.
yeah,
you know?
for sure.
But it's great. And then
Going back to Armenia. When are you gonna go again?
I honestly think we're gonna go back for a wedding. My girlfriend's friend wants to get married over there.
Okay.
So yeah, why not? It'll be exciting. Something
Yeah.
to practice, not practice about. Something to go celebrate, and then go check out that place.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's gonna get
Legacy
excited.
Yerevan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out, Legacy Yerevan. I'm sure she's gonna get excited seeing my gi in my in my bag, because sometimes she goes like, "Oh my god, like yeah, like she's a nurse, or like she's practicing to be a nurse. So whenever I come, I have like scratches and all that. She's like, come on, like you can't do that. Like, what if you break this or break that? I'm like, it's fine, babe. It's fine. Leave it alone. And I remember one time, because my parents are the same. I can't, like, there's been so many times where I'm injured and I have to hide it from my parents. One time I twisted like my ankle bad and it was like crazy swollen. I didn't even like go through my front door. I went to my garage and I was like, okay. I called my friend. I'm like, you have to bring a bunch of ice. I can't get anything from my house. You have to bring a bunch of ice. You have to bring like hot water. Yeah. So like I stayed up until like 2-3 a.m. with him, and we're like trying to take care of my leg and everything. I could barely like walk upstairs, and then I had to go into work. And at this time, I had worked at my dad's shop, and I had to like pretend I'm walking normally and everything's fine, because like they care a lot about me and I respect that a lot. So whenever they see me injured, I don't want to deal with the headache of like getting yelled at and stuff. Armenian parents are very passionate, and I love that for them. But sometimes it's like, all right,
it's a good way to put it, right?
Yeah, it is, because some people who don't understand it, like we'll see people talking on the street where it sounds like they're yelling at each other or cussing each other out, which I find hilarious. But then like it's like, what are they talking about? It's like, oh, they're just having a regular conversation. So it's funny. Or like whenever you go, someone's trying to pay for the bill, someone's saying no, and it gets into like a huge commotion. Everybody at the restaurant turns around at you. You're like, oh, what the hell's happening? It's like, oh, they're just.
Have you seen that comedian? What's his name? Michael Passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has like those funny Armenian videos where somebody's trying to pay the check and then they start like pretty much fighting, right?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. It's
who's gonna
seriously
pay for
turns
it?
into a fight. It's like, okay, guys, relax. But no, it's very funny. But what I like about like just the entire Armenian community in general is, and I said it before, it's the fact that's like, it's really motivating how everybody cares about each other. And it was really cool coming and practicing over here and seeing the other Armenian families, and then helping their kids and all that stuff. And some of like there's like one Armenian dad that comes to the judo classes too, which I always find like, I'm gonna tie into that. Like, I'm 30 years old, but I get it, like being a black belt and training someone who's a lower belt, yeah, there's like that level of difference. But teaching someone that's like 40 years old or like 50 years old, and I'm younger than them, I always like find that weird. Like I do teach them and stuff, but it's always like weird. Like I'm the one who's supposed to be like looking up to you and stuff. It's a weird like dynamic.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah. And even
you have a knowledge. You're smarter than them in that. And
yeah.
Certain that in that part, right?
Yeah. And some of these guys are like doctors. Some of these guys are like lawyers and all that stuff. I'm like, holy shit! Like, you're supposed to be teaching me.
You're giving them value. You're changing their lives.
Yeah, exactly.
With what you know.
So like having the opportunity to do that, it has like, I don't know, like it makes me feel like good. Like it literally makes me feel like wholesome, honestly. And then there was like, I think there's another guy named Raffi, and he's he goes to Professor Joy's class. I think he's a doctor too.
Professor Joy's class?
Yeah. And then him being a doctor, me coaching him and like helping him out with stuff. I'm like, oh my God. Or sometimes I feel bad. Like if I put him in with submission, I'm like, I don't want to hurt this guy. This guy's saving lives. So I always find that like weird, but like funny weird. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. It's like my teenagers, like when you're a kid, you think you know more, or your parents are like God in a way, right? And then as you get older, you're like, oh wow, they don't know everything, and then you kind of specialize in things, and you kind of know more than them in certain things.
Exactly.
But this martial art thing, right? It's like, because maybe they didn't do it. It's very interesting, right? Because you have a wisdom.
Exactly.
You have a wisdom beyond your years.
And like that's such a I'm probably not using the right word for it, but like a dividing thing in our family. Because like how you said, I always look up to my parents and came to them for advice and all that. So like being like 30 years old now, talking to them and telling them, like giving them health advice, telling them how to do stuff. They still sometimes, because I'm their kid, you know, they look at me like I'm 12 years old.
Of course.
And they're like, oh, like, you don't know what you're talking about. Or sometimes my most favorite thing is like when my parents see like my protein powder, they think I'm like taking steroids. They're like, why are you taking that stuff? It's so bad for you. I'm like, what are you talking about? Just because you saw like an Instagram video doesn't mean it's bad for you.
Let's eat some beef, you know,
yeah.
some hola,
Yeah,
some
exactly. It's
barbecue.
like go eat real food and all that stuff. I'm like, I do, but this is like something different. So just sitting down and explaining that to them, I find it hilarious, but also like they're old school and like it's hard for them to understand. But whenever they do, it's like it feels wholesome in me. Like my mom, like she's paralegal and she sits behind the desk, like, she
Yeah,
works and all
yeah.
that stuff. So I'm like, Mom, you're you know, like you're not young anymore, so you have to be able to move around, like how we just talked about before. So we got her like a treadmill. Now she's like walking, she's doing all this stuff. She feels great.
Yeah.
And I'm telling her, I'm like, see, now you're understanding. You know, just because I'm younger, but like I understand these things. Like I've been doing this for how many years of my life.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like talking about the supplement stuff too. Whenever I was a kid, like just getting into lifting, like 16 years old, I got like protein powder, I got my creatine, I got my protein bars, and I'm not kidding you, I had to like hide that in my trunk of my car because my parents, like I said, like thought it was steroids or like I'm taking a bunch of drugs and everything. I'm like, no, guys, like it's healthy for you. And I remember one time my mom found it and literally just dumped it in the trash can. She's like, you're not gonna take this shit. And
It's not natural. It's not,
yeah,
it's not real food.
exactly. And old school Armenian family, go
Yeah.
eat meat, go eat this, go eat that. It felt like an episode of My Big Fat Greek Wedding,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the movie.
yeah.
But slowly like showing them and them understanding, and now like, I mean, technology is everywhere. So my mom is like watching her TikToks or Instagram videos and the influencers and stuff are saying it. I'm like, okay, now it takes an influencer to tell you that the protein powder is good for you.
But it's nice to have you as a resource now, right?
Yeah,
You can
100%.
help them. You can get on. Like my mom was here this last week, and it's nice. I can train with her. Like, hey, mom, let's do this. You know, let's do that. Okay.
Yeah, and it makes me feel good being able to help my parents.
Yeah.
And like,
It's awesome.
my dad was having knee pain. I was helping him out. I was giving him some workouts to do. I was giving him like a slink for his knee as well. Just helping him out in general, or like talking about supplements because he's older. He's like 58. And now he's starting to feel better. He's starting to move more. And same thing with my mom. And now they're like, okay, you know what? Like, yeah, we understand. I'm like, yeah, all those years of going back and forth. But now, like, you get it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
different.
awesome. That's awesome. What did your dad do?
So my dad and my uncle, they both own like a private jewelry company.
Jewelry.
Yeah, jewelry. That's one of the things of like Armenian families. Almost one person in your family is gonna be a jeweler. So growing up over there is really was really, I think, eye-opening because seeing my uncle and my dad, like they had nothing. They came from nothing. Like they came straight from Lebanon, or like started their business, working through their business, and how they like, yeah, they have a big factory, they have like workers and all that stuff. But I was there for all of it. I was a kid.
Started from scratch, from
Started
nothing.
from
American
scratch.
dream.
Exactly. Literally trying to have the American dream. And I based like my whole life of trying to be, and again, not to sound cheesy, but how my dad and how my uncle have been, because they were able to start from nothing and then support all of their family members, support like their parents, support their kids, you know? So being able to do that as well. And like, again, I love that my parents helped me out with everything. And giving me opportunities and all that. So being able to give back to them is something that I need to do, like, and I want to do. It's really like motivating because I've been there with my dad. He's working late hours into the night, just doing jewelry stuff, and then growing to whatever he and the man he became now was like very, very like motivating. So anything that I do, like in my life, is like working towards that. And a lot of kids now, I feel like have taken like it's really easy to be lazy. Especially because, okay, like, oh, your parents did the easy part for you. They made everything established. Okay, you have money now. They pay you this, that. Like, you know, like there's no motivation to want to be better. And I hate that. And like I said, like it's really easy. There's all these kids that, yeah, their parents became like crazy rich. Like, okay, I'm just gonna live off my parents' money. I'm not gonna do shit. I'm gonna go to high school. You don't even have to go to college, or you don't even have to go to school. At least work. At least like do something. And I think that's really important. Like it develops you as a person too. Doesn't matter you're going to your family business or do whatever, but having that motivation to wanting to grow and just provide for your everybody else, not just only think about yourself, I think is really important.
Yeah.
Because now, like, I see kids that just sit there and hooch off their parents' money. I mean, we live in Burbank. You see all the sports cars driving around like Burbank High School and stuff. Sometimes I leave my house.
Bentleys and
Yeah, I feel like it's a car show. This like 15-year-old kid comes out with a cigarette in his mouth and he's driving a Bentley right in front of like the Starbucks area too. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I think like I would thank my parents for help. Like
the values given.
The values given, and as much as kids think like, oh, it's just like parents are talking and stuff. It is important. And hopefully whenever I have kids of my own one day, I can instill the same things into them. Maybe not be as harsh as my parents, but, you know, like make them grow properly.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like a perfect example, so someone has said this to me before too, is like, you see LeBron James, he's like a crazy athlete, you know, he's like everywhere. And how old is he? He's almost 40 years old. He's still practicing. He's still doing amazing. But then you look at his kid, again, not trying to talk shit about great people, but like the effort that he's put in my opinion, isn't as close as his dad's, and that transfers into everything, like in life in general. Like you have to put effort in to want to grow, because it's so easy to just like kick back and let everybody do something for you.
You had told me like you as a kid growing up, seeing your dad and your uncle like work as hard as they did was very motivational for you, you know? And then, you know, his son or, you know, these other situations, like, you know, with some different families, they grow up and they have a lot of money and whatever, and they're set, and but they're not hungry, right? They have no ambition. They're like, oh, I'll just live off of my parents' money. You had mentioned growing up. Why do you think you're different? Why do you think that you think the way you think?
I think the best way I could put that is like having to go through struggles or seeing that with my own eyes really opened my
Going
mind
through the
up.
struggles with your seeing your parents
family,
struggle.
yeah, because I was there whenever we didn't have anything, and I was there whenever we had something. I learned to appreciate everything throughout that entire process. And yeah, there are other kids that just their minds are just open to everything being rich. But it also comes down to the person too. It comes down to the person, because if you're someone that doesn't want to grow, if you're someone that just wants to be lazy, kick back, get fat, not do anything, you could do that. But there are people that that have grown to successful families and are able to like appreciate both sides. And that comes down to the person as well. Obviously, your environment has influence on you, for sure. But I think being able to see both sides of the coin, being poor and being not wealthy, but like being wherever we are now, really like made me appreciate the struggle and everything like that.
Knowing that can change, right?
It could change. It could change anytime, because something could happen and it could all go away. You know what I mean? And having like a true honest business, there's a lot of like shady stuff. People do a lot of shady stuff for money or like backstab other people. So having like a good environment around you, having good friends, having good family, and keeping like that tight-knit circle is really important.
Yeah.
It goes back to always I keep talking about Armenian families, but that's what it is, you know? And I appreciate that a lot. And everybody helps push each other, motivate each other. Everybody's there for each other, exactly like how the school is over here too. And I love how like someone needs something, someone like, okay, I could do this, I could do that. Everybody helps each other, you know? So I think that's really important, and like self-growth and helping each other grow too. So that's really cool.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, legacy family, Armenian families, right? It's interesting, just the whole Brazilian jiu-jitsu and then the Armenian connection.
Oh my God.
It's very interesting. I have all these Brazilian friends, and they're like learning all about Armenian culture.
Yeah.
And they have a Armenian in Brazil, São Paulo.
Yeah.
They have an Armenian, like a church and communities, you know?
Yeah, I've heard about that too.
Yeah.
And not just like the whole like family thing, I think it transfers between a lot of cultures. And I find that really cool. And that martial arts brings that, like, it amplifies that and it brings that out. If it's a jiu-jitsu gym, if it's wrestling, if it's judo, whatever it is, it brings that out. And I find it really cool about being like I don't want to call it like a club, but like a place that everybody could come in and get together from different areas. Yeah, we won't be like brother, sister, we're not cousins, but it feels like we are, because we all come to the gym. Anytime I come to the gym, I feel like everybody's my relative. As like funny as that sounds, but like, oh, hey, what's up, bro? And it's cool because sometimes when I see people like out on the street or something like that, I'll go say hi, like, oh, hey, what's up? I saw Josh one time, like, at Target. My girlfriend's like, who is that? He's like, do you know him? Like, you know him so well? I'm like, oh, he just goes to my practice place. So I think it's, like, really cool. And no one really kind of understands it until they're in it. Because I've talked to a bunch of other people before and, like, trying to tell them, like, oh, you know, like, come to practice or, like, do something.
Just try it, yeah.
Yeah, just try it, you know. And, like, oh, no, like, I don't know if it's for me. I don't know if it's this. But, like, I see, like, how much it could, like, help them too, you know. Or it doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu or whatever. It could be just any martial art. Yeah. Because also, like, and going back to what I mentioned before, self-defense is, like, one of the things that I find really important, especially, like, I mean, we live in LA. There's so many crazy people around.
Yeah.
Every day, I mean, you see people get attacked by homeless people or people get robbed and all that stuff. So kind of being confident in your own shoes and, you know, being able to defend yourself is really important, especially, like, if I'm out with my girlfriend, if I'm out with my mom. You know, I want to be able to, you know, like, stand up and protect them and everything like that. And, like, you see, at least, like, jiu-jitsu itself, like, you're not, like, killing the person, but you were able to, like, you know, put them down, like, hold them or do something, like, in a safe way.
Control them where you don't have to hurt them. You have the choice, option, right?
Exactly. And that's what I appreciate about martial arts in general. It instills that, like, control in you, because a lot of people could get angry and they end up, like, hurting someone, like, really bad or like
losing their temper, right?
Yeah, losing their temper.
Gives you that self-control.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things I appreciate about this sport, like, a lot, because it helps you, like, just be at a clear sense of, like, mind, a clear state. So even whenever you're in a place like that, you're not losing your temper, or you're able to, like, you know, like, keep yourself calm. And I like to say, like, it transfers into my work environment, because
for sure,
I've been in situations where, like, my boss is yelling at me, or I've been in meetings where clients cussing me out and all that stuff. And I could just sit there and I'm just, you know, like, I'm chilling. Like, I could take it on a wipeout later. No, I'm kidding.
Stay calm, breathe, right? And then react the right way that you need to.
Exactly. So
make the good choices.
Yeah, like,
because somebody was you're in a bad position, and instead of panicking and overreacting, you, like, stay calm and find the solution.
Yeah. And even, like, doing meetings or doing anything where I have to, like, do, like, a pitch or a client or all that stuff. It's really helped me, like, stay clear-headed and be calm, and, like, it transferred to my work environment, like, so well.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that so much. And even it's like a conversation started too. One of the Disney job I just got recently, one of my bosses practices jiu-jitsu too. So honestly, like, the meeting's supposed to go on for an hour. He asked me, like, work-related questions for 2 minutes. And the rest of the hour, we're talking about jiu-jitsu. We're talking about moves. I'm telling him stuff.
Yeah.
And even now, like, I go and I'll help him out.
Those things are important, man. The connection, the trust, right?
Yeah.
It's so important to create, right? And to do a better job, like, you know, that connection, right?
Of course.
The trust.
And I think, like, until someone's, like, in that environment, they don't truly understand. So him, like, being a practitioner too, like, he gets it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And someone else who, like, doesn't really care and is, like, I call him, like, a corporate, like, work dog. They're like, okay, like, who cares or whatever.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah,
thank you, brother, man. Amazing. Appreciate all your stories and your family too.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Beautiful.
Honestly, I always wanted to come onto the podcast too, so it was really nice, and I love the place. I love everything that you've set up too.
Thank you, brother. Do you want to give a shout out to anybody that you haven't already?
Shout out to my girlfriend, I guess. Yeah. But in general, just shout out to you. Shout out to Legacy itself. And I'm not just trying to be, like, because I do practice here, but just in general, just the place itself has made me a better person and has made my life 10 times better. So anybody that's listening in or doing whatever, if you have a chance, if it's not Legacy, just go practice, go do something,
find
move
a good
around,
spot,
find a good spot.
Or
if I could, like, send a message out to everybody, that's what it would be. Like, you know, the older you get, the harder it gets. So as soon as you can
start now.
Yeah, exactly.
Start today.
Yeah.
How can people find you?
At Thunder Fitness.
Thunder Fitness.
Yeah, Thunder Fitness. It's just been
On
a
Instagram.
nickname that's been going on since, like, I was in high school. But yeah, you can find me at Thunder Fitness, or you can find me at Legacy, whichever you want.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you do.
Thanks, Professor.